Roll call.
Mayor Laura,
Present.
Vice Mayor Parsons,
Present.
Commissioner Landry,
Present.
Commissioner Vasquez.
Here.
Commissioner Warren.
Here.
We have a quorum, Your Honor.
Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance. Invocation.
Anybody here? Dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this day that you've given us, that we can meet together to conduct the city's business. And we ask that you'll watch over us this week with this special holiday coming up, that we can all be thankful for our families and our jobs and our neighbors. And we just ask that you be with us each if they're traveling, and watch over us, guide us, keep us safe, and be with each one of us as we leave here tonight. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Ron. Moving on to item number 1, awards, proclamations, and presentations. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 2, the approval of the agenda.
I'll make the motion, we approve the agenda as printed.
Second. I have a motion by Commissioner Vasquez and a second by Commissioner Landry. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? 5-0, motion passes. Item number 3, the minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve. Do you want separate motions, Lynn, for all 3 of these, or all together?
Just make one, it's fine. It's all under a subsection of 3, so it would be fine.
Make a motion that we approve the special meeting minutes from November 12th, the regular meeting minutes from November 12th, and the special meeting from November 19th.
A second. A motion by Commissioner Warren and a second by Commissioner Landry. All in favor? All opposed? 5-0, motion passes. Item number 4, items from citizens. Are there any items from citizens tonight? Seeing none, moving on to item number 5, items from groups. Are there any items from groups tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 6, the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as printed.
Second. I have a motion by Commissioner Vasquez and a second by Vice Mayor Parsons. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? 5-0, motion passes. Item number 7, the Larry Street and Hickory Street RHID discussion.
Okay, so Mayor and Commissioners, on September 24th, 2024, the Commission approved ordinance number 4619, which established the RHID and adopted the plan for development of housing for the Larry and Hickory Street development. This document listed the developer as G&G Developments LLC and not the City of Liberal. It came to my attention in the last couple of weeks that the developer may have felt that the RHID was set up similarly to the other 2 housing projects that we have had in town. And so we added this agenda item as a means to discuss how the commission wishes to move forward with the developer from a financial perspective. I do have some financial numbers that I will throw out here that might be of help to you guys. The funds for the housing developments are drawn from Fund 260, 1-cent sales tax for streets, drainage, capital improvements. That fund currently has a cash balance of $6,216,478.11. Around $3.2 million is already earmarked for the other 2 housing projects, and it tends to receive around $250,000 in sales tax per month. It ranges anywhere from $250,000 to $270,000 in receipts per month. In my professional opinion, we need to keep at least $2.5 million available in that fund for outstanding projects or any type of catastrophic situation that we may face, because we do fund a lot of street development or improvements to streets for Brad's departments, and several other project funding comes out of Fund 260. So with that said, all of those numbers combined and adding in the sales tax we might receive for the rest of the year, we have, in my opinion, about $1 million to work with. It's worth noting that if the commission chose to proceed with any type of financial assistance to the development, we would have to redraft the RHID to match how we've done the others, and that can take a couple of months. That process takes time, and we've already been through the process one time in the way that we listed it and presented it, so I just wanted to throw that out there. So at this point, I'll just leave it up to you guys for discussion.
I will say that I had talked to the developer, I'm gonna say almost clear back in January or whatever, and originally, they think they were thinking about starting the project, not aware of the RHID, and that might have been last year, actually, even, but then after talking to them, after that, they were aware of how we were doing the project for the other two developments. And I will say, misunderstood evidently how theirs was being done, because their thought process was it was gonna be the same. And actually, it was talked about before the Fortunio project was even brought up. So, I know at the time Rusty, had made some comments about, depends on money, which is why we're talking about it now, but, this project has been on the radar, for over a year though, I think. And actually, 10 years ago, they actually had went out for bid for streets at one point. And I don't know what happened in between, why they held off or whatever, but I just know that their thought process was they were getting the deal because it allows more for them to use their money to build houses, versus putting it in the streets and maybe not being able to build houses. Like, yeah, I understand the financial thing about it, and that's, I don't think I've talked to you guys, any of you guys about it yet, but I've talked to staff about it or whatever, but just to let you know that that had been talked about. I don't know where it got on the wrong page, because their thought process, even though they signed a paper that said otherwise, was that they thought they were doing the same RHID, and they weren't.
Okay.
In addition to what Ron said, I have not asked for an engineering estimate, and obviously we would need that to be able to make a financial decision, but I have not received that from the developer as of today. And I have not asked for it yet. We've just had some conversations about how the RHID was drafted. So,
Karen, do you have, could you approach? In the process of drafting it, I guess who gave you the final go for developer funded over city funded? Did that come from Rusty, or was that the developer?
It came from Rusty. I didn't speak to the developer about how we were doing it. He got copies before we ever signed anything. They went to him. He made some changes, sent them back to me. It was, if you remember right, we did it a year ago, before any of the other streets were paid for.
Right.
It got kicked back by the county because he had to replat that section. So when he replatted the section of the entrance, then we had to start over. So we did that. We kept it the same as it was the year before. I had talked to Rusty. I said, are we financing the streets here, or is he? And he said, he's financing the streets. Has he asked you about it? And I said, no. Has he asked you about it? And he said, no. And he goes, then we're keeping it, we've done, I want to say the first 5 RHIDs we did for Marvin and Zanali, they were all financed by the developers, and that's how we've done most of them.
And I believe Gerald Edwards has done some of those other houses there, no? Or who developed the other 2 roads that were done in the last 10 years?
I think the roads were there, weren't they, Karen?
The
That there
roads,
was-
the
You
roads
did some
were,
self-help housing in there were some other people, and a lot of the houses have been there for a while.
So those are just builders who
well-
bought the houses and built them?
So on Jewel Street, that street was there. There's another street that needs to be developed, but Marvin hasn't done the RHID on that yet. That would be not very much to do that street. On the other ones, Denali already had the streets in, and then the apartments, they put all the infrastructure in. I mean, that was basically entrances and parking and all that, and that was their RHID for that one.
Holly Ridge Fourth was the first one we did this other way, right? And we, it started to do it the other way and decided there was a way to do it different, and that's when we changed, and then Ortuno's is the second one,
I
right?
think Orturnio's was first, and then Marvin,
Oh,
we
we
had-
redid it?
Right.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Marvin redid it.
So redid it, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how that happened. I knew that we were talking about
Yeah, after we
redoing it
did
before it
Orturnio's,
happened then probably.
yeah, after we did Orturnio's, Marvin wanted to change his.
Okay.
So we started his over again.
Okay.
And by statute, that's how you have to do it, is start over. I hope that helps.
I couldn't guarantee you, but I know we could get you, Gerald could get you an estimate. But just off the top of my head, I think we're looking at something similar to the other two projects. You're looking about 1.7 to 2 million to do the project, so. And you said we get 250,000.
On average,
On
the
average.
receipt into that fund is 250 to 270, 75. What we've allocated for the other two projects,
1.6.
yes, has been about one.
And this was done, an ordinance was passed back in April 25th of 2023, is that right? That's what I show for my, to sound close to right? And we did this the first time?
The first time,
Yeah, it
that
was
would have
passed
been
in
about right.
April.
I didn't bring that one with me,
Okay.
but yes, we did it in 2023.
I mean, our thought process when we started this whole change was, we knew we weren't probably going to be able to fund every single development, and that we would do that only with the amount of money that we felt comfortable with. And, I don't know what, I guess we need to find out what, the estimate of what these are gonna come in at, but it's been great, we've gotten 2 developments out of it, but, we darn sure don't wanna put the city in some kind of, strap us financially to do it again. Where, we've only done 2 of these, and all the other previous RHIDs have just been the regular contractor-funded RHID. That would be my concern, is that, we need to make sure if we're gonna do this, that we've got the money ready to go and are able to do it.
Doing the math, though, what I was looking at, you said you're comfortable leaving 2.5 back is where you end up with $1 million going to the end of the year, but
When I'm looking at where the cash balance is right
Right.
now, subtracting out the money that we know that we have earmarked for housing, and then adding back in what I know we typically receipt, subtracting out what I feel comfortable for taking care of the city outside of housing is about 2.5 million. So that leaves about $1 million through the end of 2024, in my professional
Yeah.
opinion.
So-
I do not want to leave that fund dry, because it does so much good work for the city outside of streets.
But realistically, if redoing the RHID, would be into next year and we wouldn't have any expenses. So in reality, 4 months into 2025, you would have enough money to do 2 million on this project and still have 2.5.
We would have a little bit, but
Right.
I need to look at what we
Right.
budgeted, the projects that we budgeted out of there for 2025 as well, which I have not listed on the financials today. Things like the rec center improvements and all sorts of things come out of that same fund.
Yeah, that fund gets used a lot.
Yes, it is the
It's the
most
biggest fund,
frequently used, correct.
That's the other thing we do have to see is how many houses are gonna be on the tax roll coming into 2025 that will be RHID producing and paying back. Although, at this point, I think there was only one house done in
Yeah,
24 that we can collect on at the beginning of '25.
Yeah, I talked to Marvin, and realistically, the end of 2025, before we realize about 8 to 10 houses.
Yeah.
But yes, we're not gonna see any of that RHID money back
For one more
on
year.
either of those additions till then. And just since there is, I'm not involved in the project yet, even though I probably will bid, I wanna make it clear what I told the staff today is, if you leave it like it is, I'm probably the only bidder on the street, so it's really almost my advantage to leave it like it is. But it's not the developer's advantage, and it's not the city's advantage. Our objective is to build houses, so if we do the RHID in the cities, then it goes out to a bid and anybody can bid on it. I'm pretty certain that the developer would like me to do the streets, so if he's the developer, there probably wouldn't be a bid. So I'm letting you know that it's my advantage the way it is, not the way it should be, but I think it's the city's advantage. And where I'm sitting today, then I'm for the city, not for personal gain. I feel like it's an advantage for us to get houses built and them to have the money to do it. So that's kind of the direction I'm moving, even though it actually is not an advantage to me to do that personally, but I like I say, my job here is for the city. But just so you guys will understand what that aspect of it.
And also at the end of the year, so the last meeting of the year, I do those annual transfers where I transfer out of the 1 cent sales tax most frequently and into the 301 construction to bring those cash balances where they need to be, because we hit that construction account all year with expenses for different projects like splash pads or rec center, and I need to make those transfers. So those also haven't come out yet, just something to consider. But we also have projects in 301 with positive cash balances that are now finished that I will be able to move money back, and that will all happen on the last meeting of the year. So we will have a far better idea at that point where we're sitting financially.
So at this point, how long, and I'm not even sure who to ask on this one, would it be before we could have an estimate on those costs to see if we can consider it into the next year? Because he's right, we won't be paying until May or so for the first.
I imagine he could have you an estimate next week. He probably wants some help from
That's how
some
I
other,
felt.
not me, but from some other contractors who could give him estimates. I mean, I'd be more than able to come up with a number for the concrete part of it, but as far as the utilities and dirt work, that comes from somewhere else. But there's people that could get him that within a week. And he would have, because to do it through the city as developer, you need an engineer's estimate anyway.
And I've been in contact with the developer and told him I would follow up after this meeting. So he'll be expecting a phone call from me tomorrow, at which time I can request the estimate.
Because the only thing we have to consider too would be if we approve this project, then there isn't any more projects for at least a year and a half. 'Cause we would have committed significant funds to that, and it'll be a year before we get to collect any of that back.
It's a slow process in
It'll
getting
take-
it back.
It'll really take 15 years to get it all back, so.
Right.
So you're gonna replenish that fund more with the 1 cent sales tax than you are with the RHID, but in theory, you're right, we do get all the money back, but it'll be about 15 years before it all comes back.
So am I in the understanding that originally it was signed that there wasn't gonna be any assistance on it, and now on the backside, there was a confusion as to what was signed for, and now we're wanting to see if we can't write it on the backside to take care of it?
Well, we'd have to
Am I-
start
am I-
over, yeah.
What, am I understanding that?
Yeah, I think he was under the impression that it was a city-funded
Because I think this took
RHID.
place before I came in, am I correct? Is this prior to me?
The first one,
The first one, yeah.
then the second
Yeah,
time
yeah.
you were here.
I was here,
and then
yep.
We finally
Yep.
approved it after.
Yeah.
And the
Hadn't
difference,
been that long ago.
No, it wasn't that long ago, but now we're coming back on our original approval
Right.
and saying, hey,
the difference, Matt, is that the way it's set up right now, the the developer is the developer. The way we did the others, the city is the developer. And the city, when the city is the developer, they'll get their RHID money back first.
Right, I understand that.
So in theory, they could get their money back or would get their money back in 15 years.
Right.
Like I said, the advantage as far as getting houses built is they have $1.5 to $2 million to put up houses now versus that much
No, I
less money
understand that.
if
I
we
understand
don't.
that,
So
yeah.
that's really the simple way of, to
Sure.
explain it.
I mean, it is showing with Marvin's project, he was gonna be building about 4 houses a year, or at a time. And currently, he is building closer to 8 to 10 at a time. Because the money we put into the streets was money he didn't have to borrow for streets, and he got to put into houses. To get those built that much faster.
Yeah, and for added information, the house price range of these houses will be, the housing price will be, sales price will be lower than the other two projects. Because the others are, we're talking 350 and 275, and these will be more like 200 from what I was told. I can't guarantee you that, because that's
Sure,
not my part
sure,
of
the
it.
market is different, yeah.
But they're looking at something a little bit more affordable, so from my experience in the past, and I don't know, I didn't really talk to Marvin about that part on financing houses right now, how many people can qualify, but he did say USDA would fit those, where his don't. And the others, I think are on the line too, so more than likely, that project would actually probably put out more houses a year than the other two projects. Because of the lower pricing in the housing. There's more people in the lower market than there are in the high market.
And they are smaller lots, and
How many
68 of
units
them.
was this?
68,
68.
and the other two projects were 46
Six.
and 48. So this project alone is about the size of the other two put together. Just more affordable homes.
So can we put this decision off until we have a lot more information? Would be probably a good thing to do.
Yeah, I'd
Yes.
really love to see the financial side of the impact on the back, on going forward. We know where we're at this year, but really to dial in and see.
Yes, so my intent today was to bring it up for discussion. I will reach out to the developer for an engineer's estimate, and then by the next meeting, I will have some end-of-year financials ready for you guys, so we can take that into consideration when making the decision. I can do some projections for what I think we will produce in the coming months and where I feel comfortable, because I definitely want to make sure I'm taking care of the other departments in the city that need funds
Okay,
from the 1 cent sales tax.
appreciate it.
Okay. Is everyone in agreement there? We'll wait till we get the estimate?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to item number 8, ordinance number 4623, amending chapter 12, article 4 and 5 of the City of Liberal Code Book.
Mayor, Commissioners, ordinance number 4623 just amends chapter 12 of the City of Liberal Code Book. We are adding the air museum into the code book as a department because they don't really exist right now. And we are amending chapter 5 to move the parades down to chapter 5. Nothing is changing on that besides the number.
So housekeeping, basically.
Housekeeping.
Yeah. Make a motion to approve, ordinance number 4623.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Landry and a second by Commissioner Vasquez. Any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? 5-0, motion passes. Moving on to item number 9, resolution number 2425, solid waste rates.
Mayor, Commissioners, we're requesting to approve Resolution 2425. The red line copy shows the changes that we're requesting due to the increased costs that are out of our control. As you know, the county is went up $3 a ton for landfill charges. So on the current copy that you're looking at, the 1780 fee was actually the one in 2019. And it's, it's went up a little bit each year. So, right, we're requesting in 2025 it would go to $22. Right now it's $20.66. But the increases, like I said, that's what's being passed on to us from the county. And I have Macario here with the sanitation department if you got any questions on any of the other fees.
So with this also, we are putting in, beginning in 2026, an annual increase, is that right? Kind of like what we did with water a little while back?
Or was that always in there already?
It was already in
It
there.
was in there already? Okay.
And so those old rates aren't 100% what we're charging right now, correct? This is from the 2019 ordinance?
Yeah, that's why we need to update
Okay.
the resolution.
So our increase isn't as big as it looks because we actually have higher rates as it is.
Currently,
It
we're
just wasn't
paying,
updated.
is it $28.66 a month for trash service? We're going to $22.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 2425.
Second?
A motion by Commissioner Landry and a second by Commissioner Vasquez. Any further discussion?
I have one question for Macario, maybe. So the gate closure thing, is that us charging them $25 or they charging us $25?
No, so currently, we open the gates. Our driver gets out, opens the gates, get back in, dumps the trash, and then we go on our route. So and it's very few that want us to close their gates. Well, if we start doing that, we're never gonna get a route done, because
Okay.
we're gonna spend all our time opening and closing gates. I
So
would
tho-
prefer not to have gates
So
on.
those are for customers, then
Yes.
they have gates on their dumpsters that we're picking up in, okay.
Right.
I understand now, I didn't know if that was closing the county gate, I was
No.
confused a little bit,
No,
so,
that's,
okay, I
if
understand,
you
yeah,
drive through Sonic, they got gates.
yeah,
Starbucks and all of them.
Yep.
Keeps the trash inside when the kids just chuck the bags over the top.
and that's what the pickup, well, I was looking at the other $10 fee, but I'm good. I didn't understand the gate deal, but now I do.
Any other discussion? Any from the public? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? 5-0, motion passes. Item number 10, Communication Emergency Response Protocol Software Purchase. Pam?
Mayor Lara, Vice Mayor Parsons, Commissioners. I'm Pamela Johnson from Emergency Communications. In your packets, you should have information on emergency response protocol software. We had reached out to communication centers across the state, polling who they use for their software that interfaces with Spillman CAD software. And we were given information on PowerPhone, which is now known as Total Response, APCO and Telecom, and ProQ&A. We visited with two of those three. ProQ&A sent us to links across the internet. And when it came time to do our scheduled online demo, no one from there showed up. So, the Emergency Communications Center supervisory staff previewed APCO and Telecom and the PowerPhone I just lost their name in my head. The Emergency Response Protocol System. And after discussing between the 5 of us, we chose not to choose the APCO and Telecom because the other works better for us for a number of reasons. Took it before the Communications Board November 12, and then unanimously approved the protocol software in an amount not to exceed $65,000 for, and I will answer questions. It was Total Response Package is the one we chose. If you have any questions, I'll stand for questions. Trying to make this as quick and easy for you as possible. I don't know if you had time to read the information I sent to you or not. I can go through it if you wish.
The only question I have on this one was, and it's just getting my years mixed up now, is this the software we approved for 2025, or did we approve some in 2024?
It was approved for the 2024 budget.
This is correct. It is in the 2024 budget.
And then we have another software upgrade for 2025.
Correct.
She has a lot of upgrades and requirements, but we always take them into account and have them in the budget.
Perfect.
And I think I read somewhere where it's free training for employees, correct? Like educational stuff.
Yes,
There's no
in the
extra
Total
charge.
Response Package, there are 50 different modules that we can train. It's online, on demand, 24/7. And the APCO and Telecom, it's an additional cost on top of our membership fees that we pay annually to them. And it's not only an additional fee, you have to arrange your schedules around theirs, find meeting times, pay overtime for staff to cover for each other. So it's definitely better to have on demand. And you can take the classes multiple times if you need to through the QA software. If you find someone needs remedial training or review,
Yeah.
you can take it over and over
that's really
again.
good.
And it does have a robust QA program that we can either randomly pick different calls or specific calls.
And every communication with them has been good so far?
Absolutely. I previewed it the first time, had my supervisors preview it with them without me, and then we previewed it again all together. So they've been very good with us so far.
And very user-friendly?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we purchase the Total Response Emergency Protocol Software Package not to exceed $65,000, coming from, what is this?
Fund 202 Communications.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Commissioner Vasquez and a second by Vice Mayor Parsons. Any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? 5-0. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pam.
Moving on to item number 11, Ortuño Housing Addition change order.
Okay, so Mayor and Commissioners, on November 5th, City leadership was presented with a change order request for the Ortuño Housing Addition in the amount of $49,490. In reviewing the regular meeting minutes from the June 25th, 2024 meeting, city staff found 2 areas where change orders were discussed. In reference to the dirt removal, OC Quality Custom Homes stated that they would remove on-site dirt at their own personal cost with no change orders. Later in the conversation, the former city manager stated that he had spoken to both Manuel and Edgar Ortuño, and they had assured him there would be no change orders. And if something wasn't right, they would make it right. That can kind of, the intent of that comment can be left up for debate, but it left questions in my mind about change orders. So the total amount approved for the project that day, and this is one of the housing projects, $1,656,150.32. This request would make the total project cost $1,705,640.32. Again, these funds would come from 260 streets drainage capital improvements of the 1 cent sales tax. So as a result of this, I asked Gary Geist with Earls Engineering to be present in order to answer any questions the commission may have, and we did give everybody handouts to help better explain, so.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. You should have the single-page change order in front of you. The first line item would be to add the linear feet of sanitary sewer. And that and the 2 manholes were left off of the bid due to, on the plans, there's a Lynn Court, and I think that's either the second or third sheet that I gave you. It's got the little cul-de-sac on it. There's a 127 foot of sanitary sewer with 2 manholes. At the time of the bid, Orterno's thought that those lots were too big for houses, so they were wanting to get to the Planning and Zoning Committee and try to go with apartments or some type of multifamily. And so at that time of the bid, that portion of the sewer was left off because they were undecided and they couldn't get in front of the Planning and Zoning Committee in time. So nothing was approved yet. Since then, they've gotten in front of them. I believe they have gotten accepted for multifamily zoning there. And so we've added back in that sanitary sewer and the manholes. That's line 1 and 2. Line 3 is the 36 each of the sanitary sewer Ys and fittings. That one was an add-on, because what that will do is while we're installing the sanitary sewer, we'll go ahead and install the Y, and then the plumber from the contractor's plumber will plumb into the Y that we install. And that way, they don't have to dig up and expose the sewer. They can see it while it's exposed, and they can run a riser up and mark their line. And then all they have to do is come in, cut it off, and tie into the sanitary sewer. The next ones are the 6-inch and the 8-inch water meter service taps. And the one right below that is a 10-inch water service tap. When we first put this out to bid, it was said by Rusty that he wanted the service lines and the taps and the corp stops included in the project so that we could run, while we were running the sewer line or the water line, we could run the water line to the meter. At the pre-con meeting, Jose with the water department said, no, we're not including those. And so on the plans, and that's the other sheet, that's this sheet here. And on this first note, we had it in the plans that the city was going to provide the corp stops and the curb meters and all the brass fittings that went with the meter. We weren't going to tie the meter in, we were just gonna get it from the main line to the meter, and then Orterno's plumber is responsible, Orterno's responsible to contact the city, pay the permit for the meter, and at that time, the city will come and connect the meter to what we install. And that's, and in doing so, we are deleting an existing line item for the 34 meter connections. And that change order comes up to $49,490. And that's what's in question is.
And we've had some discussions today. I've had discussions with Jose yesterday. And we may have difference of opinions on the interpretation of the spec book, which my interpretation is the contractor was supposed to pay for those. But in talking to Jose, we've never done this before, where we've included the water meter taps during the project, because, and Jose can tell me if I'm wrong, but we've had discussions about, we generally don't go out and tap a whole bunch of water mains and put water meters out in the field so they can be ran over by concrete trucks. The water meter is usually put in when the house is completed. And always in the past, it's been done with the contractor. And on Holly Ridge Fourth, it's still being done the way we done it. They're doing them per house, right? And the contractor's paying for it. But I do understand that Rusty somehow requested this to be done. And I don't know, that's where it might need Jose to say that Jose was not in favor of doing that. And he is the water department head, and I think had told me that repeatedly you told Rusty that we shouldn't do it this way, if I'm correct.
Yes, good evening. When all this started, I told Rusty that it wasn't a good idea to let the contractor do all the taps, or the taps for the water main, or the water lines. In the past, everything that's been done, house-wise, we've done the tap for any new addition that comes in, any new house or whatever comes in, because that way we're responsible from the main all the way to the meter. In this case, well, the way Rusty had said was that we'll let them do the tap, put it up to the meter, and then we'll be responsible for providing a meter after they pay their fees. What I disagree with Rusty was that at the end of the day, when they turn the water or the water mains over to us, then we'll be responsible for something that we didn't do. And I told Rusty twice. So I talked to him there when we had the first meeting, and then I talked to him in his office again about it. And he said that he still was going with what he had said originally, to where he trusted that Tracy would do a good job on it, and which I don't disagree, but that's not how we've done anything in the past. Any new developments, they pay for their water meter, their tap, and we go do it, set everything in, and I mean, I'd like for that to continue, to where we don't allow that contractors come in and do all the services, and then at the end of the day, we'll be responsible for something if something leaks at any set connection there.
I would agree with that.
But I was turned down twice on it, so.
I want to give you a little bit more information. You guys didn't get this paper, but it's the spec for bidding the project for the item, the water service meter connection will be paid for as each meter connection actually completed. This item shall include all required cost for labor, materials, and equipment required to complete this item. This shall include required excavation and backfill, installation of the meter pit, meter setting, curb stop, required fittings, connection to existing service, disinfection and testing, disposal of waste materials, and cleanup. The city water department will provide the meter pit, curb stop, meter, and setting. Contractor provides all other required fittings and pipes. So this was a bid item, which is supposed to be in bid for complete. And by providing, I think the misinterpretation, or I feel like it's misinterpretation, is that the city is gonna provide it because they want to maintain the same brand and of taps and stuff, even though, like Jose said, his department was not in favor of letting the contractor do them anyway. But this is a different deal. This is an interpretation of whether the contractor was supposed to have it in the bid. If you look at the bid tab sheet, item 34, the engineer's bid estimate was $1,200 per tap. OC's bid was $300 per tap, and French Construction's bid was $900 and some dollars a tap. And also included in this change order is the footage for the pipe. But so if you add the materials that are needed for the taps, the engineer's estimate is $68,000. French Construction's estimate is $69,000, and OC's estimate is $15,000. So they're about $54,000. So I think that they missed the interpretation of the tap, that I think, Gary, you told me they thought that it was just labor only, but if you read the spec, it says labor, materials, everything. But also, my opinion is, that they're gonna be short 50-some thousand. My opinion is that we should actually remove these items from the contract and the bid and not make them responsible for them. They will still be paid for by the contractor, but it won't be part of the bid. So regardless if they bid it short or didn't bid it short, would make no difference anymore. But the main reason for that argument is we're putting out an RHID that we've got a set amount that we're saying is 1,600,000, and we do have a few change orders on this list, that items that I think are worthy. But this item is gonna put us in the position that we don't want the water meters out there and the cans out there in the middle of the field. The meters won't be there probably, but the cans and we really didn't want the other contractor making the taps anyway, because the city's been responsible for the taps because they've always made them. But if we put those out there, we still can't pay them completely. So we're dragging our RHID 12 years down the road, however long it takes them to build the last house. We're still adding to our RHID. Where if we take these out of the contract and say that the meter becomes back to the way we usually do it, we just take those dollars out of the contract, our RHID will be able to be completed. Probably not in the 4 or 5 months I think they predicted, but maybe by summer, or sometime, that they'll have it done. There is no penalty for going over on the time, though, in the contract, I don't think. I didn't read the contract, but in the specs, there was no penalty for running over on time. But still, we would rather have our RHID wrapped up in the first year than have it drag out 12 years. They are able to recoup the money for the meters on the RHID side after the city gets their money. So all we're really doing is saying this money, this 60-some thousand for meters, that doesn't need to be spent all at once anyway, gets spent over time, isn't added, and us waiting 15 years to get it back, that they'll get it back after that period of time. But we could possibly, they wouldn't be able to do it because they can't draw money, Gary, on something that's not done, right?
Right.
So regardless, it doesn't get completed
Right,
until they're done.
that price gets added to the sale of the house, and they
Right.
want to recoup it.
And that's probably why it's never been done this way before. I'm not sure quite why Rusty asked Jose to let him do it that way. But it's more, I'm just guessing he didn't understand that how it would
Well,
drag out the RHID.
It has, not on an RHID, but it has been done that way because on the project we're doing right now, it's the exact same spec that's in the spec book where the city's providing all the brass and the connection. But it's the difference between being an RHID and a city project. Because right now, that same spec is in both projects, and it says the city to provide the parts, and the contractor does not pay the city for those parts. You buy the parts and then install them. So it's
But I think that's after they actually go down and the contractor goes down and pays for the meter, and then that happens.
the contractor goes down and pays $1,538
So they-
for the meter.
And that's all they would have to do on this one, is go down and pay the 1,500, and it's all included. The price for a 1-inch tap is 1,500, I got it here somewhere.
So you're trying to say for the water connection, that should stay in there because of the cost of the brass and all the other connections?
Well, I'm speaking for, not representing, but I'm thinking of as the contractor, and Ronnie would know this too, but if If the city manager told you that they were gonna be included, and at pre-con, which was 4 months later, it's decided not to be included, and so all of a sudden, the contractor is responsible to furnish that material, so you go out and buy that material to be placed in, because that's what was asked of for the project. And so now they're stuck with the 1-inch water pipe, and they're stuck with the brass fittings. And I'm not saying that it can't be used, because Orturno could purchase it from his subcontractor who was gonna put it in as the houses are built. I haven't talked to Manuel because he's out of the country right now, but
Yeah,
that's an option.
yeah, the problem is that they didn't even need to purchase the pipe yet. And the spec doesn't read. And the other day, yesterday, when we had the conversation, you said they thought the 300 was for the labor.
300 was priced for just the
So-
labor,
so
because
in
in
the
the
original
plan, it was
contract, they
supposed to be
didn't think they were
provided
paying.
by the city.
In the original contract, they didn't think they were paying for the pipe.
No, they're paying for the pipe, just not the brass. There's a line item for the 1-inch service pipe, which is the service line. What wasn't included was the brass.
Okay, so the connections, though, the rest of the material,
Right.
which the $3 they had a foot in there is like about $6 a foot too cheap. So,
You can't-
so I don't know
you
what they
can't-
were,
I mean,
I don't know what they were bidding,
As-
but they're $50-some thousand short.
Estimating is just a game. I
Right.
mean,
But all the items to do with that item are short, so they didn't add it in that item. But anyway, if they didn't think that they were supposed to buy it yet, and then they put this other stuff that you're saying that they bought, that you had in a change order that hasn't been approved yet, so there was nobody from the city that told them to buy it.
The original plans and the city manager suggested, I mean,
Well, the
that
original
was-
plans don't, because the specs dispute that. The specs say otherwise.
And
Okay.
a verbal conversation between one person and another person.
Yeah.
It's a verbal conversation, it's not a contract, it's not there, it wasn't,
Did they
That's-
did they buy the stuff from the city? Because
No.
it does specify that they're supposed to, I mean, that's what the city's supposed to supply. It means that they're actually supposed to purchase the stuff the city has. I have another, deal in the specs that I printed off. I read it later today. It says, let me read it. A bidder shall be prepared, this is in the specs for this project. A bidder shall be prepared to retain specific subcontractors, suppliers, or other individuals or entities for the performance of the work if required by the bidding documents to do so. If a prospective bidder objects to retaining any such subcontractor, supplier, or other individual or entity, and the concern is not relieved by an addendum, which there were no addendums on this project,
There was one addendum.
not for this though,
No, not for
Yeah.
these items,
Yeah.
no.
then the prospective bidder should refrain from submitting a bid. But, so by saying that the city is supplying on it, to me, like I say, it's interpretation of the specs, but my interpretation is that the contractor, and it appears clear to me, that the contractor was supposed to pay for those materials, and he was supposed to obtain those from the city. Because the city doesn't want other brands of fittings and stuff out there than what they're using. And that's why Jose objected to start with, is we're going away, we're giving them something to take care of that they didn't have a choice in providing.
The only difference is on, say, the water line projects we're doing right now. We just started behind the Country Club Country Club Golf Course, has the same spec, and
We're
the
providing.
city provides everything. The contractor does not pay any money for the brass.
And the only difference
fittings.
between this development and what we're doing is it's our water line replacement. It's not, nothing new, like a new development or nothing.
All right.
That's the only difference from any other water project that we've done. We provide all the materials for the tap, but it's because it's our water line.
Well, that's the same as Second Street you were trying to say, though.
Right.
There's an existing meter,
Main,
and those
yes.
people, basically, the construction was done.
It
that
wasn't
meter
a new
and tap had been
construction.
paid for before. The reason it's being changed is because we decided to change it. That's why we're paying
Mm-hmm.
for it, is because the homeowner didn't decide to change it, or a
Yeah.
contractor didn't decide.
Yeah, like I
to
said,
do
any
it.
new water line project that we do, we always provide the stuff, because like I said, we're doing a new service, or a new main, and we're just replacing what they have existing, or a meter, or water service, or whatever, so that's why we provide all the stuff for any new water line construction for the city.
What are we doing on the Chance project? Is the city putting them in?
They're paying for meters as they go. They're building a house, they come and pay their meter, we go set it, we go do their tap and everything and set it for them. It's like everything we've done with any new housing that comes in.
They're following it the way that we've always done it then.
And we already did 3 houses here for doing 3 taps for him, the ones on Lynn, and he went and paid his $1,500 for those 3, for each one, I mean, but.
And if we remove these 3 items from, well, I'm saying 3 items, I don't know about the boring. From my understanding, that they're boring that in without the water line in it, right? Per this bid. I'm just.
They'll have to bore under some of the
There
roads
was 16
with the
Right,
service
there's a
line.
price in that, and I did notice that the engineers, and when I say French Construction, I didn't bid any of the utilities, so it's not my numbers, it's Stoffel, did my part of the bid, so it's their numbers. But on those 3 numbers, engineers estimate, and their boring, and our boring, the numbers are similar. So that number would maybe not necessarily have to be taken out. Because from my understanding, the pipe's gonna be pushed through, the pipe's not being put in with the bore, just the liner's being put in, is that right?
No, the bore is the water line.
The bore is the
We do
water
the bore
line?
and then we run our service through our.
And you've already done 3
3 of them.
3 of them that were not in this number, or were part of this number?
They were exempt from this because they'd already put them in.
Okay. So they're not in the count.
Right.
But, so if we removed that item, you would do the remainder of them as part of the water tap, because you're tapping the water main on the other side of the street, right?
On the west side of Lynn.
Yeah. And you're saying you think that the contractor purchased fittings and pipe?
I'm sure they did, yes.
And I
After
think-
the pre-con, which
I
it
think
was
that
agreed to
Jose would
that,
be more than willing to buy their pipe for $3 a foot, because it costs more than that for their bid, but,
well, that, just because it's $3 on the bid sheet don't mean they're gonna sell it for $3.
well, I'm saying that's the unit price. If we ask for more, that you have, if we leave this item in there and we add to that footage, they have to provide it for that price.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, they'd put it in
Yeah.
for that $3,
Yeah.
but they don't have to sell it for $3.
Okay.
Lynn, do you, legality problems, and I don't know what these, I haven't heard anything, but for us to remove items from a contract, I think somewhere in the wording that it actually allows us to do that, somewhere in it, you probably need to read it though, huh?
It would need to be executed by both parties.
Yeah.
I mean, if the party that's on the other side is fine with it, then it can be executed and be done. They've gotta be agreeable to it.
So is that what you're wanting to offer? We accept the top 3, remove line item for the 6-inch and 10-inch, and go ahead with their delete item number 34?
The sewer line.
And so that would give them an
supplies.
$18,400 change order?
We'd actually delete, if we delete item 34, and we would also
That was the
delete
original.
the 11,000,
Original on
They're
the,
2 add, yeah.
right?
on the
And,
bid tab.
But the other items, I feel like,
We were gonna replace these two.
I understand why they got left out because of the lot deal that they were talking about.
Right.
They're still doing those by unit price. So, I'm assuming, I didn't check that, but I'm assuming that their manhole price on the rest of the bid is the 7,000. Is that right, Gary?
What's that?
That their manhole bid was the 7,000?
Yes, 7,000 each. For 2 manholes would be 14,000.
And that was their original bid for the other 6?
Yeah, it's the same unit price.
Okay. And then the same for the footage of the
Yeah.
pipe?
$50
Different,
a
so
foot.
that's generally how it should be done. It should be done added for the same unit price as the bid. And then the Ys are actually, like you said, are really an extra, but it was probably a good idea. That way they don't have to drill and tap the sewer lines and they can bring them up, and not have to dig all the way. Well, they
Yeah, they
don't have to
won't.
dig out quite as much. You don't have to saddle the main line
Right.
and
They're
drill a
already
hole
connected.
in the sewer main. This way, there's already a place to connect it. The only disadvantage is it's wherever that Y hits the lot. But I'm sure if they put those in there, they'll give
Yeah,
them
we've-
locations of where those will be located.
We've GPSed them on the location.
Okay. So I guess that's the question. Do we counteroffer with that? Is everyone on board with doing that? I'm good with that. I mean, it does make sense because they were trying to consider where they were going, and needed to talk to planning and zoning about the multifamily to the apartment complex and where they need the extra sanitary sewer lines. And then the water meter taps, we probably should have, listened to Jose and the way it's done in the past.
Well, and what happens to add to that is if we don't eliminate those items, they don't agree to eliminate those items, then we actually will have a dispute on the interpretation of the spec sheet. So whether they were supposed to pay for them or not. So by eliminating and doing what we should have done to start with, we eliminate that confrontation, but
Okay, Gary, do you have enough of a direction that we can do a different change order to incorporate that in here? It may say delete this, the city's going to install or something along those lines so that parties can get that figured out, because this isn't kind of all of this information is over my head, but it needs to be in a change order that parties can agree to it and represent the consensus kind of the commission.
So do you have to, I was just talking about the both parties, is that Orterno's and the city? Okay, to agree to delete items?
So if you do it, if you can just use a change order and represent under description of the items under here, what we're discussing with what they said we wanted to do to start with, so that's, the city's gonna take care of that, and these other items that have been addressed. And you wanna verify that with city staff, with Jose, with Scarlett, and Scarlett, you can, rely upon, the mayor's representations, and even Ronnie that has more expertise than probably anybody else sitting on this side of the queue. And then take that to our Artunios and say, hey, is this agreeable to you guys? If they sign off on it, then we bring that back
Right.
to the commission for a change order, so then we can all
Approve it all.
approve it. So that kind of where we're at.
And would that suffice for your agreement by both parties
Yeah, that'd be fine.
when they
If you
sign
sign
up?
off on both, it'd be fine.
If they signed the change order?
Yeah,
Okay,
that'd be
yeah.
Okay. I don't think they're gonna be back, they went to like Portugal or something for their kids play soccer. And he's not gonna be back till December 9th, so it'll probably be like the first meeting in January by the time I can get it back to Scarlett, written up.
Have they started digging any trenches yet on water or sewer?
We've got a sewer line in, right behind the 3 houses that are built
With Ys or without Ys?
with Wise.
Okay, and these Ys would be part of that.
Yes, they're included in the change order.
I don't know if we could give them a consensus of that, if they were needing to continue on that sewer line, or they're putting them in there anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, that we would be in favor, of paying for those Ys, or including those Ys in the RHID, basically, is what I'm saying. it would be the change order that we were talking about approving is the 2 manholes and the other, even though they wouldn't actually be approved, but, so do they only have the 3 Ys in there, or did they
No,
put
we
Ys
put
for the
them-
other lots?
We
Are there
put them
other
in for
lots?
both sides of the lots.
So they have put them in there?
Yes.
Okay, so they're anticipating, we're not, by not giving them an answer, we haven't slowed them down because they were already,
Right.
okay. I just want to make sure that we didn't leave them not knowing what to do. Their opinion was they were either gonna pay for the Ys or not.
Right.
So, but I wouldn't have a problem with the Ys being in, it's a good move, but,
Maybe the other thing you could do is you could get, where we're okay with it, bring it to the city commission the next meeting and have it approved by the city commission and then just subject to their approval as soon as they get back, so they wouldn't have to sit down and wait, but just depending on.
Okay.
It makes me nervous as far as that goes. We'll just take no action represented on this tonight, and once we get a change order, again, that reflects for the consensus of the commission, put it on the agenda as an item later, and then take action on it. That sound agreeable to everybody?
Yes, I'll be completely honest. I feel like now it's even more, I'm not understanding this, so I have a lot more questions. So yeah, I would like to table it for the next meeting. I don't feel comfortable making a vote right now.
Right. Well, we need something in writing anyway. That
No, I know,
presents
but-
what's possible. Yeah.
I feel like I'm more confused now.
and Jose could probably help you with probably a lot of
Yeah, if
those
you guys
questions.
need
and
any
what the
help on all that,
procedure
just,
usually is.
or stop by the office and we can sit down and talk about it.
Okay.
Bring you up to speed on that, but.
I'll get a change order drafted and it'll be ready for when they come back.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jose.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jose.
Okay. Let's see here. No action. Item number 12, the land purchase.
Okay, so Mayor and Commissioners, I have attached in your packets the agricultural land real estate contract between the City of Liberal and Shannon Energy Corporation. If you remember, we had a work session on November 12th where the commission discussed the opportunity to purchase 15 acres of land on North Highway 83. The overall consensus at that time was this land could be a possibility as a future development as the city continues to grow north. So as the interim city manager, I was able to make a contingent offer of $75,000 on November 13th, pending official action by the Liberal City Commission, and funding of this purchase would come from the 1 cent sales tax fund 260 for streets, drainage, and capital improvements.
Well, I'll be glad to say something about this. It was a sort of my idea to begin with, but as the town continues to grow north and as commercial development heads that direction, this property coming up for sale and $75,000 price for 15,000 acres is, in my opinion, very reasonable. And if we were to let this property get away from us, something gets built on there, then, you know, that potential growth is probably gone for a generation or more. You know, that's a piece of property that's in proximity to other development. And so that's why I suggested it. And I think preserving the chance for future growth in the city is worth this effort.
And in case I heard wrong and Lacey is taking notes, I think he said 15,000 acres, and I think he meant.
Oh, 15 acres, yeah,
15
sorry.
acres, so I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, that would be a great price for 15,000 acres.
Yeah.
15,000 acres,
I
yeah.
just wanna make sure you got that.
15 acres, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you looked over this contract, Lynn? So you're good with it?
Yep.
So
Standard
we're
purchase.
free to approve
Motion
it
to approve the
if we
contract
want.
as presented.
Well, I make a motion to approve the contract drafted by Heritage Real Estate for the purchase of the property for future commercial development.
Second.
In the amount of 75,000?
In the amount of $75,000.
I have a motion by Commissioner Landry and a second by Commissioner Vasquez. Any further discussion? Any from the public? Okay, all in favor? All opposed? 5-0, motion passes. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 13, city staff.
Mayor, Commissioners, a few updates. Randall Pond got staked this week. We found out from the county that the deed's not right, so it's gotta be reworked. So we're not going to do anything on the property until all that gets settled. Hopefully, in a short period, Keith talked to Thad from Earl's and he was gonna get it corrected. So as soon as he does, we will move forward with that. Pickleball courts are moving forward. They're hoping to have all the dirt work done before they leave for Thanksgiving. They did run into some old foundations over there that they're digging out, so. Solar project is ongoing. Coming up at a future work session, I would like to discuss a project on the airport with Edgar Flores with you. So just keep that in the back of your minds. The water project is, it rained last week, all the rain, and I think they hesitated to come back this week, so they'll be back.
No, they're here.
Oh, they are here working? Okay. They'll probably be leaving tomorrow for Thanksgiving. I don't know if you've been up by the country club, that tower's going in, they were augering the hole today. It's about as big as this room, it seems like. I'm gonna have Steve come up and talk about the splash pads that are finished up today. Give him an update on the splash pads and why he's getting up here. Just some projects coming up that we're gonna be working on in 25. Besides Randall Pond, the stuff on Washington Street, North Grant and Sunflower Street, where it's all broken out, we're gonna put that on the radar to get that all repaired in concrete, whether it be with
Good.
us or contracting it out, because
Good.
it's getting really bad up there.
Yeah.
We got a couple more spots on General West that we need to do some touch-up on. The drainage pond on Oak Street area, we need to do some ditch rework and culvert replacement along those entrances to those houses and stuff, so we can pump Rash Pond out, because right now it's sealed like concrete, and it is plumb to the top every time it rains, because it's not. We want to drain it out, dig down, see if we can find sand to let the water absorb. And we're also looking at massive school zone flasher replacement. And get the stuff we currently have is not updatable anymore. We replaced one set. We got in, and we'll probably do that in the next week or two on 11th Street. And Steve can give you an update on some of the things he's doing.
So a quick update on splash pads. McCray, apron and connecting sidewalks are in place. They look really great. We're gonna go back and backfill dirt to get it to grade. And then we're gonna add it's like a quick coupler. It's just basically a hose line that's gonna be able for us to wash off the splash pads. I don't know if you saw it driving in tonight. It looks really nice over there. No fence on that location, but over at Mahuron, they wrapped up pouring the concrete and setting posts today for fencing, and we are gonna do the fencing ourselves. So they did a great job. B&G did an excellent job with dealing with the weather, a lot of mud out there, and just communicating back and forth on what they need, and our guys supplying any resources that we had available. So really excited about that. We are in the process of planning a remodel in the pro shop at the golf course. This was something we talked about 2 years ago, and we were fortunate enough to have a little money allocated to this for this year. Excited with the staff, getting a lot of good feedback. We're trying to basically update the course, but we want to bring in kind of the theme of Southwest Kansas, create a kind of a rural rustic feel inside there and kind of bring the outside in. So we're gathering ideas. I've reached out to a lot of different people in the community and got a lot of support to walk through the building, get some ideas together. Staff is on board and looking forward to move forward with that. Also, just with that, we have Chris Ewalt and Nick Rotolo inside doing a great job with all the staff. And then we have outside Christopher Main. You guys probably know if you're playing golf or out that way, of course, is in phenomenal shape. So looking forward to a great season coming around. So any questions on any of that?
No? Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
We finished up our last auction for the year as well with Gavel Road. So looking forward to next year.
Thank you.
I just want to give a big shout out to the Liberal Fire Department. They hosted a session for us last week, a Comacora session. Our deputy fire chief, Steve Bolton, made us breakfast, and so it was excellent. Give him shout out. We also had the A shift captain, Reagan Dreitz and Warren Hedrick there, and the C shift captain, Aaron Lumen and Tyler Kulo were there on their days off. We also had our HR director and Commissioner Landry, along with our assistant city manager. Scarlett was in a different session, as was Kristen, so they didn't attend, but we're gonna do a little short session for them later. But I just want to thank everyone for participating. Commissioner Vasquez attended in her office, and I think we all learned some valuable information that we can use. So, thank you.
Thank you for putting it together.
Any other city staff? Okay. Seeing none, item number 14, city manager report.
Okay, so Mayor and Commissioners, I feel like I've spoken a lot tonight already, but I still have a couple of things I would like to go over. First of all, thank you to Commissioner Warren and also Gary Geist from Earls for coming tonight and allowing us to question things and be very transparent when it comes to these types of things. It is my goal that we have more dialogue like that, because it might be a little different right now, but for me, this is what produces great results and success in the long run. I'm somebody who doesn't have a problem with any type of 3-2 votes. I think everybody's here to do what's best for their constituents. So thank you guys. I appreciate your expertise when it came to this. So very much appreciated. I've said several times that I don't know that I feel like there's a single city manager who on earth who has ever done every single job in a city. Everybody has their specific area of expertise. Mine is in finance, but I do know that we have great staff members that assist me in helping make decisions that are best for our community and our citizens. So thank you very much for that. I think we'll have good results from that conversation. Also, I wanted to let you guys know I sat down with Chief Pinkston this week. I'm pleased to report that we did hire another police officer. So I've personally noticed, and I hope other people have, that we've seen an increase in staffing levels, and that's evident in the community. I see more patrolling and things that are happening, and that was one of my goals. In my opinion, one of the primary responsibilities of government is to provide safety and soundness for communities in which they serve. And so to be able to see that, increase those staffing levels, in my opinion, helps improve quality of life when people feel safe to be able to carry out their lives in the manner which they choose. Also, I've made it a priority in the last 6 to 7 weeks as my time as interim to keep the commission very informed of things that are going on and keeping those communication lines open. So I've been sending you guys the Friday informative emails. I will continue to do that. I think it's very helpful. I send upcoming events, financial numbers, hiring reports, any updates on projects and leadership team progress. In my email last week, I sent out what I hope to implement as a 7-year capital improvement project plan. Kristen helped me develop this. We attended a financial seminar last week of which they discussed something like this that they have done in other cities, the person who was speaking. I really liked it. It's very simple, but it basically allows us as the staff to communicate to the commission what we know needs to happen over the course of 5 to 7 years. I fully intend on utilizing the comprehensive plan that Keely has also worked on to work through this, and I think it will require a work session, but it will at least help us to tell you what we know needs to happen in addition to the projects that you would like to fulfill as commissioners. So I hope to work on that in the near future. One story that I wanted to mention also, because I think it's a good one, and it shows how great our staff is that about 4 weeks ago, I received an email from a citizen that was concerned about lack of lighting on the corner of 8th and Washington. In that area by Casey's convenience store, that's an area where students congregate, young children, to get on the bus, and they did not feel that it was well lit, and several people, especially driving to National for work that morning, several mornings, felt that it was potentially dangerous to our children. So I said immediately that I would follow up on that. I got a hold of Brad. He got a hold of Southern Pioneer. We do have lighting in place there now, and I did let that citizen know that we followed up on it. It was taken care of. She was extremely appreciative, said, I didn't even know if I should reach out. I didn't know if anything would be done or if anybody would care. And I just want to make it very clear that we are servant leaders in this community, paid by taxpayer dollars, and it is our duty to carry out the will of the people. And I can't say yes to everybody or make everything perfect or happen in a way that they hope, but we will take everything that comes to us seriously, and we will treat everybody's concerns with respect. And so thank you to Brad for helping me with that. The final thing is that I spoke to leadership team this morning regarding the status of the ARPA fund. We currently have $20,639.08 that needs to be expended by year end. I asked the crew if they had any departments that felt like that they could utilize those funds. Brad had several things come through that I felt like were a great use of the remaining money. Especially, I would like to show consideration to general fund employees, because we know that's where things get the most tight. And so we've already signed some requisitions this afternoon as a result of that, because I don't want to send any money back. And so we're going to do our best to take care of our employees. The goal is to always provide them with what they need to do their job, and so that they will be happy and stay with the city, and that our citizens can benefit. So that's all I had. I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and hope you have a good holiday. So.
All right. Thank you, Scarlett. Item number 15, items from commissioners. Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you to city staff, definitely to fire department for the breakfast that they made us last week during our session. It was wonderful. Sorry you guys missed it. It was great. It really was. I ate way too much. Not a ton. Glad everything's coming together. I just hope everybody has a really happy Thanksgiving and gets to enjoy the time with their family. Don't forget to say thank you for that, because that's important. So that's really all I've got. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, city staff. Appreciate all your hard work. And I am enjoying the weekly email, Scarlett. That's really a good bit of information, and am looking forward to doing some longer range planning. It's something I've been asking for a couple of years now, and I think that would be very good. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving, and if you're traveling there, hope you're safe. You have folks traveling this direction, safe travels to everybody. That's all I have.
Ron? Well, I know I've talked entirely too much tonight. Say that I appreciate staff and everything that's done, and again, wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and staff and our whole community and commission. And also I'd like to say, if any of you have any questions, and like I said, it is a lot to take in on what's going on and stuff like that, but like I say, Jose can answer your questions, I think, as far as the water stuff, and if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer anything that you might have, or ask why I have an opinion that I have, but I'm more than happy to answer any questions for you guys, but happy Thanksgiving for everybody. That's all I have.
Just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody and thank you to all of the staff for all of your hard work. I also want to give a recognition to all of the workers who put up all the Christmas decorations. I think it looks very festive. I also want to give a recognition to the Liberal Chamber of Commerce for putting the wrap-a-lamp contest together. I think it makes our downtown look more festive. Thank you, Scarlett, for your update. I feel like it's been very informative. I feel like it really shows the transparency and really gives us really good knowledge to be able to make informed decisions when we're about projects. And then I also want to give one more special recognition. Dr. Knudsen was recently recognized in local media. He has delivered more than 22,000 babies over the total population of Liberal. And I just feel like he's really a true hero. He has committed his whole life to serving our community. And if you haven't had a chance to see this story, it's on Cake News, it's on our social media platforms. But these are just kind of stories that are rewarding and really truly put Liberal on the map. He talked about how he just came here to cover an assignment, but he ultimately decided to make Liberal his home because he just really liked the welcoming community here. So it really makes Liberal look like a great place to live. So that's all.
As always, thank you to all the staff. I still can't believe there's still green out there, and so every staff, every department is still working, and just making the city look more beautiful. I've seen some of the work on Washington, so everyone is still full throttle. I don't think any department has really even slowed down, even though this is our slow season. Most of them have picked up, and all the departments doing all the decorations. I mean, the city is truly beautiful to be here. The people are definitely welcoming. You hear that all the time with anyone who comes here to see and visit us, and especially people who stay. Thank you, Scarlett, for the emails. That has really been beneficial. I think also to getting information to everyone as well as your department heads. And just for the new structure where you have moved the city from somewhat a silo departments to an open communication for everybody. I think that's very beneficial for where we're at as a city, where we need to go, and now we have every department's voice in the same room at one point in time, instead of just the ones who show up the most. So thank you for that. And we still have probably another 2 hours to go after this, so that'll be the end of what I have to say. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Be safe. And item number 16, vouchers.
I'll make a motion that we approve the vouchers in the amount of $1,565,823.69.
Second.
One more thank you, though. Thank you to the developers who continue to help develop our city as well. That needed to be added, especially since 2 of them were mentioned in today's agenda. Any further discussion? No. All in favor? 5-0. Motion passes. We are adjourned. So,
For a minute.
do you guys want to take a break?